the first awesome speaker. I'm really pleased and glad to have Marina here. She arrived yesterday after a crazy day with the plane and all that stuff. Yeah, I'm really happy to have a woman, a young woman and clever like Marina here on the stage today. Back in the days, it was not really easy to have a woman in IT, you know, doing stuff like Marina does. So, ladies and gentlemen, please give a round and warm applause to Marina Aisa. Two secs. Like this. Life problems. So 2 secs. Hola, hola.
Hola. Hello? Hello? Okay, works now. Yeah, sure.
No. Marina Aisa, thank you.
So, I want to create my own blog. How many of you have said this, like, in your career? It's very typical, right? So, please raise your hand. Okay, so I see like many hands. Okay, and this is normal because a lot of people is talking about this. And I was one of those, and I just went to Twitter, and then I started seeing people also building their own blogs. And some of them are doing it with Laravel, other is using Webflow, someone else is using WordPress, and someone else Gatsby. Like, there's so many ways, and I was kind of like this cat. So I want to build my own blog, but there's too many choices, and it's kind of like the feeling that we all get when we start doing this, right? So that was me 6 months ago. And I'm going to tell you a story, and I'm going to start with what I want to achieve. Is that I want to own my content and platform. And this can sound like a cliche because everyone is doing this now, like they're skipping Medium and they all want to have their own blog because, you know, Medium's bad and stuff. But I'm actually going to explain like why. And the main thing is that I want to control my design because I'm a product designer and front-end developer, and this is very important for me. I also want to add functionality as a blog and a portfolio system in the same website. So I didn't want to have like a blog and a website and then a portfolio and another one, and then I had to manage too many projects. It's going to be like crazy, right? I just want to have it all in the same website. Also, for the SEO is way better in this way. So this is me. I am Marina Aisa. I'm UX engineer at Holaluz, and my Twitter is this one. And yeah, UX engineer is just a really fancy name to say that I work in the design and front end of Holaluz products. But by the way, Holaluz is a company from Barcelona. We connect people to green energy, so we are an electrical company like the new generation of electrical companies. So I also want to have 2 languages in my blog, so Spanish and English, because you know, Spanish is the main language in Spain, and that's why I'm speaking English in Alicante. I also want to have a good performance, and this also can sound like, okay, so everyone is actually talking about performance, and a lot of people in the front-end community is into it, but it has, for me, like, it's very important because it's part of the UX experience. And if we compare, for example, have you ever seen Medium performance? So it scores 45 out of 100 in the Lighthouse audit, which is kind of crazy because a lot of people is using Medium, but it just have a terrible performance that it has a huge impact on the user experience. So I just don't understand why they're doing this. And also about controlling our own design and content, like Medium has a lot of banners that you can see there. Actually, you cannot see anything of the content. Like everything is a banner that Medium has just put over what you have written. So it's kind of like, I don't know, the user experience is very bad, right? So I was not starting from scratch because I already have some stuff. So this is what I had from the beginning. So I already had a website made with Middleman. It was this one. And this means really good news because I already have a lot of the HTML and CSS done, which is great because I wasn't not starting from scratch. And you might wondering like, okay, Marina, and why not to go on with your website made in Middleman? Middleman is just a static website generator. It's based on Ruby. And I was like, okay, I'm going to explain you the reasons that I know JavaScript. I don't know PHP or Ruby. So this is very important because if I have any problem with my Middleman website, which is made with Ruby, then I didn't know how to fix it, or I had to learn Ruby for that, and I didn't want it. Also, if I just put a WordPress, make it work with a fancy template, and I don't know how PHP works, then I'm screwed up. This is the website that I had, and it was scoring 75 out of 100. So this is the website made with Middleman. As you see, it's not a bad result. 75 out of 100 is okay. But we'll see how I'm going to improve it, the performance, afterwards. So you came because you want to learn how to make your own blog, and I'm going to let's start to create it. And the first question that we should think is, should it be a single-page application or a full static website? And a single-page application is just a web app where you are changing part of the DOM without refreshing the whole page. And this is very nice because it gives us the power of adding a lot of animations and transitions, where it means that we will have a way better user experience. This is an example by Sarah Dressner, which I'm a huge fan of her. And you can find it at page.transition.com. And it's just a website where you have like super nice transition between pages that are not refreshing the whole page because it's made actually with Nuxt. So it's a web app, single page application. I also want to have reusable components, and you can actually have it somehow in static generators, but it's not in the same way. Like you cannot actually bin data from parents and child in the same way as you can do it with Vue, for example. And this was very important for me. But of course, full static websites have like very nice stuff as well. And the main thing is simplicity. Because we only have HTML, CSS, some JavaScript, and that makes it so simple. And it's something that I also want to achieve. And we'll see how I was also working on simplicity in my blog. Search engine optimization. It's really great in static pages because of simplicity. You only have HTML, CSS, and just works great. And this is a problem in single-page application because you are only loading JavaScript and you don't have the HTML and CSS that Google reads, right? So I was like, I like these both words, like, can we combine them somehow? And this is happening with pre-rendering. So pre-rendering is great because what you get is like a page where you have the HTML and CSS loaded, so your search engine optimization is great, Google's approves, and then you get like single page application above of that. And whenever you go to the next page, it's just going to turn to a single page application, and you can manage all this transition, which is great. So we can just get the best of those worlds, right? Next thing is we have to choose a JavaScript library, and of course we are in a Vue event, so which JavaScript library I choose? Okay, sure, it was Vue, right? If it was React, then I will not be here, but I will tell you why, because there are really main reasons for that. So I told you already that I already had a website built with HTML and CSS. And this is very important because the syntax of Vue itself. This is a comparison between React and Vue, and well, we see that the syntax that Vue uses is way, way more similar to native HTML and CSS. And this is very important because I already had all this code. For me to just migrate that page was so simple. With React, as you see, like the syntaxes change quite much, and you have like really weird class names for telling class because you are just inserting HTML and JavaScript, so it's kind of just more complicated. Okay, so we already know that I want to achieve a pre-rendering website. I wanted to make it with Vue. So let's go on. And the next thing that we should care about is just to choose a Vue framework. And there are so many, okay? So we have Nuxt, we have Vupers, Grissom, and I can tell you that all of them are great. And you can actually achieve a block for sure with all of them. Like, I'm just going to tell you my story. And I choose Nuxt for some reasons, but there are just other reasons to choose other technology, and the fact that you're watching this talk doesn't mean that you have to follow the same stuff. Like, you actually have to think about the framework in the needs that you have in the moment, not because Marina told you to use it, okay? And it was good that actually I choose Nuxt because the creators of Nuxt are going to speak afterwards. And this is good because if I will be choosing Vupers or something like that, they will kill me. So I'm happy that I choose Nuxt. And the reason is that for me, I think it's the most mature and powerful framework for Vue.js. It has the largest documentation and community, and this is very important. We'll see it afterwards, the importance of this. And in GitHub, it's crazy because they have 20,000 stars. It's insane. And I took these screenshots a couple of days back, so I guess they have like way more right now. This means that the community is huge, and there are a lot of people caring about the product and making it like more stable, more mature. And this is just a really good way of choosing a framework if you just don't know which one to choose. Okay, so we know that we're going to use Nuxt, and to start, we just need to put this command on our console, and it's as simple as just put this, and you get a Nuxt project in your computer. So this is the folders that you get whenever you put that command. So this is the default folders, okay? And there are some of them that we actually are not going to need for this project. It's the middleware and the store. We'll see why, but we just delete it for now. And okay, so we get this folder structure. We know we're using pre-rendering, Vue, Nuxt, which is the next thing, and it's translation. So I told you I want to have Spanish and English in my website. So the community of Nuxt is quite big, and of course they have a module called Nuxt IATN that, yes, you can put your translation like very easily. It has, well, it has a configuration. You can see it on the documentation. I'm not going to explain it today, but I just put all my locales in this folder. So this is our folder structure by now. And this is the time, like, where should I save every post? And at the beginning, you think like, okay, I could just use a headless CMS. And a headless CMS is way more than just a boy losing his head, as you see here. That was what came to my mind when the first time I heard these words. Am I kind of crazy? And a headless CMS is just an AP-based CMS, which sounds great for a static site that using Nuxt, because you can just connect it with an API to anywhere, right? And there's so many headless CMS, very different. Like, these are some examples. Some of them are open source. Other ones you have to pay in the cloud, and I think they are really great. And if I will have to choose a CMS, I will totally use a headless one, but did I really need them? Because, okay, this was a project. I was going to be the only one who was going to touch the blog, the content on the website. Do I really need to have a headless CMS running somewhere else and then just connected? Doesn't make sense if I just can write the content, right? This could be like really useful for some managers or people, non-tech people that are going to just write on the blog and stuff, but this is not the case. So I just choose Markdown files, and I thought like, okay, this is, do you know Markdown files, right? It's just you have a from matter in the top, where you just put metadata and stuff that you need, and then you have the actual content of the blog, and this will be rendered as HTML. But I didn't want normal markdowns. I want Vue components inside the markdown. So this is the fun part, because a markdown can be okay, but I also want to put Vue components inside, okay? Like super powerful markdowns. And this is an example of a blog post where I was loading one Vue component that is this data table, and I'm just put it in the whole time with different props, and it just changed the look, but it's the same component. So it's really easy, and also I don't have to put all the HTML again, and I can just reuse components, as I was saying before. To do this, we need from matter markdown loader. It's a webpack loader, and it allows us to do this really nice stuff, like just adding our component to inside of a markdown, like so easily, and works super fine. And this is the Nuxt configuration of webpack, where you have to add this from matter markdown loader. Just webpack configuration is not even Nuxt. Yes, it's also in the documentation. Don't worry much about it. Okay, so we have already our markdown files, and this is the structure for them. So we have first the language, English or Spanish, and then we have the structure of blog and portfolio. And I told you we already have the markdown files, but this is the fun part, because how to import them? We have to import them somehow to our Nuxt application. Like those markdown files in the app alone, they are not going to work anywhere, even if you have the webpack loader, right? So I was thinking again, like I'm already using webpack in in my Nuxt project. So I'm just going to use this dynamic import by Webpack, where I can just tell, okay, so go to contents where we have our markdowns, then go to this, wherever the locale is, because with IATN you can get the language that you are using at the moment. So if it's, as users in Spanish, then it will just put their S. And then we'll go to blog and just take the markdown files that I need and just import it. So this is amazing because actually this importation without Webpack dynamic import doesn't work. So Webpack do the magic, and it's so simple. We don't need a API call or anything, just from our GitHub, and it works super fast. And at the beginning, I was like, oh, so there is this thing called Vuex, super cool, everyone's talking about, and I could just use it in a way, well, you know, what is Vuex, right? It's a centralized information for our application. So we can just put all the states, and we have mutation actions that are actually functions for our app, but it's just a way of centralize all the information. And I was like, okay, so maybe I could just get Vuex, and you know, I have all my markdowns inside contents, and I could just import only once, because I just want to do an importation. I just import all of them at once in a markdown, well, and I just get them in my Vuex. And from Vuex, I just send it whenever I need it, because that's why it's a centralized information. And what do you think about this? Like, can you raise your hand if you think that Vuex is a good idea for our blog? Oh, there's no hands at all. This is good. Okay. I'm going to show you a real-life example, and maybe you will realize that why Vuex is actually a bad idea to use it. So imagine that you go to the supermarket and you buy all the milk bottles that you are going to need in your life at once. So imagine that's a lot of milk. So I don't even know how you're going to get out of the supermarket with your truck to your house. But somehow you made it. And then you have a super huge storeroom in your house, because why not? And then you just put all the milk there at once. And then you just, day one for breakfast, you just take it. Day two for breakfast, you take it. Day 1 million, you just take it. You don't have to come back to the supermarket ever again. That's the good news. But the bad news is that it's totally stupid to do it. And this is what was happening for me using Vuex. So I was importing all the markdown files at the first load. So the user was getting all the mark files at the beginning, even if it didn't need it at all. So it was super slow. And then it was super fast afterwards, but it was not making any sense at all. So this was me. I want all the things, give me everything, but was not making any sense at all, okay? So I just I was like, okay, I need to do this other way. I just messed up my performance, which was one of the things that I want to improve. So let's find another way. And Nuxt has an amazing feature called accent data, where you can actually just get all the accent data. Well, I'm just saying the same. But there is a function where you can get asynchronous data and merge it inside of your Vue data. And this is great because we can actually do our dynamic import of Webpack inside of accent data. So we want to achieve this part of the blog that is the index, okay? So it's where we have our post. And the first thing that we have to do is just import the names of the blocks in both languages. So this is just a JavaScript array where I have all the block names, because you will see I need them again afterwards. And then I choose the language. So if you're in English, I will take the blocks in English, and if you're in Spanish, I will take the Spanish ones. And this is important because I want them to have separate signs. Maybe I have some posts only in Spanish or only in English, and they can be separated and independent. So I just do the function, like I just declare the function of import. You can see that I'm using the dynamic import of Webpack there. And then I just do a map, and I get a block blocks object where I get all the information of only the 8 attributes that I need. Again, this is at the beginning. Okay. At the beginning, we have the names of the blocks, so the same ones that we had before. And this is because we need to tell somehow Nuxt which routes we are going to generate, because if we are running as we are running the universal generator, so the universal mode of Nuxt, it will just run the Nuxt generate, that it will just create all the routes for static files. We need to tell them like which routes are actually. Okay, so we already have the index page. Let's do the post page. So this is the page where a single post is loaded, right? And we are going to use dynamic routes. It's another really cool feature of Nuxt, where we can just put our accent data. We do again the dynamic import of Webpack, and then it's as simple as this, where we are just importing the markdown that we need, and we are returning an object with the params that we are actually needed for this for our block. Okay, so we know that we're using Nuxt. We are doing the translation with Nuxt, IATN, we're using Markdown, and we're using, for importing those Markdown, accent data from, is a feature of Nuxt. What about transition? I told you, like, you know this really cool example of Sarah Drasner that I give you about the transition. So I'm going to show you how to do this transition for our pages. So as you see, it's just a small transition that just move a bit the content to the right, and then it comes back. Just make it way more dynamic, that it will, if it will be refreshing the whole page, and it will be a static site, right? So the magic comes when we declare actually this transition, and this is quite magic, and I'm going to try and explain you. It's quite difficult actually, so it got me like some time to understand it, but it's fine, it's fine. I have a schema and everything for you. So in the beginning, what we are doing is just telling like what kind of, like where we want to apply this transition to, and we are saying, okay, so this transition should be over the transform property, and it has to have a duration of 0.4 seconds, and also it's going to be applied to the opacity. And in the second part, we are just saying the state of the transition. So this is kind of the difficult part, but don't worry, because I have a wonderful schema here, and it's nice that we have a huge, huge screen, because it's actually you can read it. And what we have seen just before is that we were declaring how the state of this part, like the purple one. So we were saying like okay, just give me I want it to be like transform, translate text, 50 pixels. And this means that we will actually have two states here. The purple one is what we have just written there, and the black one is just the default state, because the default state of transform is none, and the opacity, this is actually wrong shit, the opacity is 1. So you have the default state of transform none, opacity 1, and then you just move it to transform translate x, 50 pixels, opacity 0, and you are just telling that the enter active and leave active is going to be the transition, transform, and opacity. This is the same as this one. I told you it was kind of difficult to understand, but it makes sense. And the transition object is as simple as just putting this on your Nuxt page. So this means that we're just saying that the transition is going to be called slide fade, and it's going to just transform it to Vue transition. That is just you made them with just putting the transition name, slide fade, then you put the content inside. So in Nuxt, automatically it just get you this. So you don't even have to write this, because with a Nuxt object you get it. Very nice, right? Very simple. So we have a lot of stuff done actually. It's Nuxt, Markdown, accessing data, we have the transitions, and now there's some performance optimization that we can do, and this is out of the box with Nuxt, and it's called code splitting. My friend Debbie is actually going to explain you more about it afterwards, but you just, right now you just have to know that this is happening with Nuxt, and just means that all this HTML and CSS JavaScript that you're going to need for your page, they are going to be splitted by pages and routes, so you are going to only load the content that you need in the actual page. It kind of feels like a static website, because you are not loading a whole bundle of JavaScript, but yeah, it's very nice, because this is a way of getting a better performance, and my friends will speak about it afterwards. Progressive web application is super simple to do with Nuxt, because you just have to install a plugin and just get a progressive web application. It's so simple, and it's another reason because the community of Nuxt is it's huge, and you should follow this project because they have a lot of stuff made out of the box. And also, lazy load components with Nuxt, for example, is so simple as just to use this syntaxes of loading. So you just put function of import the component, and it's going to lazy load that component in a different chunk. So it's kind of amazing. And to lazy load images is as simple as just use the responsive loader. That is a Webpack loader. This is how I am doing it, but you can just do it in many other ways. I just use responsive loader by Webpack, and then Vue lazy load is just to load images in a lazy load way. So there are so many other packages for images. This is just a way. So you remember I told you the performance at the beginning, it was 75, right? So now with Nuxt and all the setup that we have is 94. This is amazing. Wow, oh my God, we have improved a lot. Okay, so we have a lot of stuff done, and it's time to deploy. And for me, it was kind of like, oof, how I'm going to deploy web app? I don't have any idea, like, DevOps or anything. What should I use? And then I came up with Netlify, and maybe some of you already know it. And it's just a super simple way of deploying static sites, also single-page application, or kind of like it's a Webpack, right? For it works super good with Netlify. And okay, so it's super simple. And when you log in inside the Netlify, you are just saying, okay, so everything that is in master in my GitHub, because you have to log in with GitHub, and then you just synchronize whatever you have in GitHub, all your projects, to Netlify, and just do the deploy like automatically. And it's super nice because zero configuration, just I have everything that is in master. I have it published automatically. You can see here that it deploys, that one is building, another is published. You can also see the console. It's super simple, crazy simple. And also it's super fast. Everything is served from a CDN, so performance and CDN just means super fast website. Cheap to run, actually for me, is totally free. So I don't have to pay any server, just Netlify for free. And it has amazing serverless features. So this means that, for example, in Netlify, we can just create forms without a server. So also we can create authentication without any server, because Netlify just do it for you, and you just have to configure it in your Webpack, and it's magic. Also, it has really cool stuff, like for me that I'm also a product designer, Netlify has a new feature that you can do A/B testing in your pages, like super easy, super fast, and this just feels like magic for me. It's amazing. I'm a big fan. So we have everything, and as a conclusion, we just did a Jamstack website. Do you know what is a Jamstack? Raise your hand. Okay, some of you know. So it stands for JavaScript, APIs, and markup. So it means that all our content is going to be pre-built at deploy time. And we have seen it in Netlify. This is the configuration. Actually, every time that you just click push in your Git, so it's just going to do the build command, that is npm run generate. This is by Nuxt, so it just generates the static files. And then it's going to publish the directory dist, where we have all those static files. And this is totally automatically, so it means that everything is pre-built whenever you are going to deploy it. It also means that we have a static markup, and we don't have server at all. And this is what I just told you about. Just great. No need of worrying about server or paying a server. So it's amazing. And everything that is going to be dynamic is going to be handled by client-side JavaScript. That's why it's kind of like a mix of a single-page application, right? And finally, it's super secure because we don't have any server to worry about. We only have our GitHub, and of course, if they hack your GitHub account, then it's fucked up, but I hope they don't do. So just put the double configuration to check your account. And you will be wondering like, oh, this is amazing, Marina, but you told me a lot of stuff in like 40 minutes, and how can I actually start with this? It will be amazing to have just some tools, right? So you can just go to my blog, marinaisa.com/blog, and I actually have only 3 posts, so there are not many, but actually 2 of them are about this. So in one of them, I have the first one actually is how I made this whole project. So this whole talk is just you have a summary in this blog. And I also did another blog with Vuex and how it works and how I use it run. Just explaining what I explained you today, but just a little more. And yeah, I also thought like, because actually a lot of people ask me about this, you should just put it on GitHub, because you know my actual website right now is a private repository. I just did, okay, so maybe I should just do a starter for Nuxt, and you have here an open source repository where you actually have an Nuxt starter for all the project that we had just built today. And I don't know how much time we have, but maybe I can do a demo for you. Just a small thing. So let's see if this works. Okay. So we are just starting here our configuration. You are not seeing anything, right? So our configuration start like our Nuxt Markdown block starter. You just download it from GitHub. You just do the npm install, and then the npm run dev. Everything is on the README, so don't worry about it. And this is what you get. So you get this starter. So, for example, you have this post with the Vue component I told you about. So this is a component. This is also a Vue component. You just have it inside the Markdown. This is very nice. And we also have like to change. Okay, so now you see it in Spanish, and here you see it in English. Great. And also here you can just change the language. Oh, and we see that in English we have one post called bacon ipsum, and which is actually not available in the Spanish version of our website, right? Just home. And in the English one we see it. Okay, so actually, yes, artículo disponible en español pronto. It means that this article is going to be available in Spanish soon. So we are actually going to translate it right now. So this is a crazy idea I just got yesterday, so I hope it works. See. Okay, so this is going to be quite fast. Don't worry about it. So we get the English Markdown here. Can you see it, right? This is the English Markdown, and we're just going to translate it to Spanish. So we just get a new file, and we are going to say, okay, so our Markdown was bacon ipsum, so which is the Spanish name of it? Jamón ipsum, right? So we're going to see jamón ipsum dot markdown. What? Jamón ipsum markdown. Okay, so we have our jamón ipsum, and we're just going to copy all this, and we're going to say, okay, now the name is jamón ipsum. The title is going to jamón ipsum. And today is 31, right? So the ID is going to be bacon, because all my IDs are in English. This just means that they share the content, like the media content, images and stuff. And then we have to put a description and the content of it in Spanish. So we're just going to jamonipsum.com, or .es actually. And this is an actual page. And we're just going to copy for something for our description. Okay. And then we're just copying the whole thing for our content. Okay. Yeah, it works. So we have some things left. So we actually have to say like, okay, the translation of this post is going to be bacon ipsum. And in the bacon ipsum, we are going to say, okay, the translation is going to be jamón ipsum. So they are connected in this way, okay? And also, we have to go to this array and say, okay, this is already done in the blocks in English, but we need to add it in our blocks in Spanish, and it's jamón ipsum. Okay, jamón ipsum added. This will work. Hope so. Ooh, and now it's loading our application. This is good. It's loading the whole bundle because it see that there is a change. Okay. So now we are in the bacon ipsum, and we see that actually it appears now our artículo disponible en español, so our Spanish post is available. We change, and we get our jamón ipsum. So we have it translated already. Our beautiful pig, poor him. I hope he doesn't end up like a jamón ibérico, even though I like them very much, but poor him. And we also have it in our index page. So we have our jamón, and if we go to English, it's just bacon. So our demo worked. Amazing. And that's all. Like what I want to tell you today. This is my Twitter, Marina Aisa. And I hope you like it, and I hope you are building more jamón ipsum soon with the Nuxt starter. Thank you. Okay. So actually we have some time, not much, but do you want to do some questions about it?
Yes. If you have some question, please raise your hand. Ask your question, and I will repeat the question here just for the streaming thing. Any question? I don't really see any hand over there.
Do you have any question?
No. So
Not at all? Okay.
Yeah, some question over there. Can you just stand up and ask your question? Sorry. Sir, just a minute. Yeah, no, yeah, just streaming.
Okay, thank you. I have seen that you have connected the two languages with a reference to the Spanish term in the English file and the English term in the Spanish file.
Yeah.
And what if we had a third language? It could be possible.
Well, it will be possible because the structure allows it. Like the folder structure, it will allow to have friends, for example. But since I only had two languages, the UI I just tried to make it simpler. So whenever you are seeing a post in English, it tells you like, okay, you can see it in Spanish here. But of course, you can just put a switcher to any other language. This is the way I did it because I only had two languages, and I thought like maybe this is the easiest way of like if someone that only speaks Spanish or someone that only speaks English end up in this page and it's in the wrong language, so they can just change it very fast. But just change it how the template is, and you will be seeing it in the GitHub repository. You can see it. You can just put a select, for example, and it just displays on all the languages that you have if you have more than two. But it's more about the templating and how to actually connect the Vue model to the template. Just did it in this way because of I only had two languages, but of course it will be possible to do it with more. Do you have any more questions?
Some more. Well, then it's all. Thank you very much, Marina.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.